You must have heard that saying by Aristotle, man is by nature a political animal. And we can see that in practice around us in many ways, but mostly on social media. Look at what it's called, social media. The original idea was of a platform where people could keep in touch with loved ones, be reminded of their birthdays, and post memories with them to come back and find later. But today, many use social media as a place where they can air their opinions on politics and politicians, often without distinguishing between what's real and what's fake. There are several types of examples here. One is where a speech by a politician is clipped strategically and shared with a false claim that the leader said something scandalous. Examples include Amit Shah saying that India should be divided into North and South India, when in reality, he alleged that it was the Congress's intention to split the country, and Rahul Gandhi calling himself a tailor while he was merely quoting a fashion designer. Another cluster of examples is related to government schemes. With online classes gaining currency during the COVID-19 pandemic, we saw fake posts about the government giving free laptops and smartphones to students. There are also fake schemes promoting government employment and two-wheelers to youngsters. Election time is also an active period for political fake posts with claims about EVM tampering, booth capturing, and sensational promises made in manifestos. Then there are personal attacks against politicians, like one post that claims that Arvind Kejriwal was accused of rape when he was a student at IIT Kharagpur, and another that alleges that Narendra Modi indulges in expensive food and clothes on the government dime. We know there's a lot of misinformation related to politics out there, so the next thing to tackle is the rationale. Why do people create and share such posts? For people in politics, the main goal is obviously to come to power, which means that winning elections is their topmost priority. And unfortunately, misinformation has become an important weapon in this battle. So it is to a politician's advantage to have their followers 1. Promote them and their party, and 2. Sling mud at rivals in the form of social media posts. And this support need not be direct. Reports state that social media pages that do not have any official connection with political parties post proxy advertisements favoring them, and that this is a game worth crores of rupees. In general, social media posts grab more eyeballs than actual news and data reports do. And it's a double whammy when these posts make sensational claims about politics, because these are things that speak directly to us. For example, with fake schemes, people who are its intended beneficiaries will be quickly drawn to a post that tells them that the government has a special offer in store for them. And a post that refers to caste or religion in a political context will make most people take notice, as these things are tied to our identity. Which brings us to the larger question of ideology. As adults, many of us have decided, at least roughly, which side of the political spectrum we sit on. And this makes us easy bait for political fake news that either glorifies our own ideology and the politicians and parties who represent it, or posts that villainize the opposite. There is anyway a large group of people in the world and on social media as an extension who believe that everything they say is right and aren't willing to listen to people who don't follow their ideology, even when they offer evidence for their claims. You're probably thinking about someone from your opposing ideology as I say this. Social media is the best platform for these people who live by rhetoric instead of facts. Just say anything that appeals to their political taste and they'll not only share it widely, but probably also add their own baseless commentary to it, leading to a snowball effect in fake news. Another factor that leads to the creation and spread of political misinformation is the oldest one of all, money. This is particularly the case with posts that share wrong information about government schemes. They might set up a payment link asking people to pay a registration fee or some such token amount to avail the benefits of a non-existent scheme. In this case, they are receiving money directly from the people who see their post. But they don't always ask for money. Instead, they may ask for personal data like PAN or Aadhaar number, or even bank account details, which in turn can be sold for cash or used in other ways that make their pockets grow deeper. We'll talk about how not to fall for such scams in a bit. First, let's understand the impact that political misinformation can have on us. With scams, the immediate impact is the loss of money or privacy because you've lost control of how your personal data is used. A particularly sinister effect is that fake news can significantly affect voting decisions. Continuous positive messaging about one party and equally consistent negative messaging about others can make people believe things that aren't true, which in turn makes them vote for someone they may not have chosen if they knew the real situation. Political fake news also often promotes a distrust in the electoral system. Let me add a bit of context here for our younger viewers. Those of us who started voting on electronic voting machines don't know this, so go and ask your elders what elections were like when they were younger. Stories of booth capturing by musclemen and stealing of ballot boxes were reported in the news often. So, technology like EVMs and the ability to find information on the candidates contesting from our constituency easily on the internet was supposed to help us place faith in the electoral process. Instead, what we have seen are fake posts about EVMs being an untrustworthy way of registering and counting votes, and other posts that make misleading claims about fake voters, like minors, rigging the election process. While these concerns cannot be brushed away completely, the fact remains that the problems are not nearly as severe as these posts make them seem. This exaggeration of the issue can create a panic against the system among people, which may keep them from voting, which is not a good look on the largest democracy in the world. And it's not just us saying this. In the election schedule for the 2024 general elections, the Election Commission of India dedicated a section to misinformation, acknowledging the problem, identifying stakeholders, and outlining the measures to be taken to avoid the spread of fake news related to the elections. Of course, politicians also often speak of the perils of fake news, but with them, the irony is that they only seem to dislike misinformation when it is them or their party being targeted by the opposition. They happily turn a blind eye to the false claims about the opposite side promoted by their own party through the back door. But let's come back to you, the consumer of these social media posts. What you can do when you come across these political false claims is pretty standard and straightforward. Do keyword searches to look for authentic news reports that back the claim being made. Quite often, these may lead to existing fact checks that have already labeled the post fake. For visual claims, put the image or keyframes from the video through reverse image search. This is particularly useful while tackling videos of politicians making speeches because many of their speeches are available on their party or individual handles. Speaking of speeches, look out for clipped videos. If there are too many cuts in a video or any abrupt cuts, what you're seeing is likely a clipped version of a longer segment of a video. Another way to identify fake claims related to speeches is to look for shock value. What I mean by that is if you come across a video where a politician appears to criticize their own party or make it look bad or praise an opposing party and ask you to vote for it, your fake news radar should tell you that something is off. And when you investigate, you will likely find that either the video is clipped or it shows the politician quoting the opposition and not making a statement themselves. With schemes, you can do a keyword search with the name of the scheme to look for credible information about its existence. Investigate any links or documents like official-looking letters that come with these posts. If the website does not end with a verified Indian government extension like .gov.in, or if either the website or the document has language and formatting errors, it is likely a scam. One thing to remember is that if social media is venom, it is also the antidote. Visit the verified profiles of political leaders, parties, the ECI, the courts, whoever or whatever the claim is about. You can either look for confirmation of the news you're looking for there, or more likely, find posts from these pages that debunk the false claim about them that is going viral. Also, the Press Information Bureau takes to social media to clear the air about government-related misinformation, so that's a good page for you to follow. But also follow fact-checkers like us, because we constantly put out articles, posts and videos where we separate fact from fiction. You can also send us your fake news queries directly on our WhatsApp tip line. We will send you the relevant fact check if we have already debunked the claim, and if not, we'll look into it and get back to you. This is the last episode of this season of Decode. Each of the 8 episodes of this series was a deep dive into one theme from within the world of mis and disinformation. Before we let you go, we'd like to leave you with a few thoughts that apply both to the specific theme of politics and to the larger sphere of fake news. Earlier, misinformation was mostly confined to a particular geographic region. As recently as 2019, fake news in India was dominated by misinformed discussions on Kashmir and the scrapping of Article 370 or the Citizenship Amendment Act that was passed that year. But over the past few years, we have seen a widening of the ambit. People across the world, including India, are creating, seeing and sharing fake posts about several international phenomena, from the Russia, Ukraine and Israel-Palestine wars to US politicians like Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. It's not hard to see why this has happened. The obvious answer is the explosion of social media, but that has been around for some time now. The deeper reason is that the world is growing more and more polarized, with one set of people moving to the extreme right and another traveling to the extreme left of the political spectrum with equal speed. The enormous distance between them is being filled by the barrage of fake posts we see each side slinging at the other. And then there is also the misinformation that travels mostly within one section. All this to and fro of misinformation means that some people in India celebrate Benjamin Netanyahu, while a section of America propagates positive messages about Volodymyr Zelensky. Let's expand a little on the point made earlier about the explosion of social media. In India, this caused a big boom because it was a consequence of another big explosion in our country, that of smartphones and easily available internet. A very small number of Indians had a natural progression from dial-up internet on home computers and basic mobile phones to Wi-Fi on laptops to smartphones with mobile connections that give them unlimited data on the go. Many others, and this is the majority, went straight to that last step. This means that unlike the former group, this set of people didn't grow up with the internet and therefore maybe didn't realize how it could be used to supply them with false information or cheat them of their money. Think of it this way. Let's say someone from our parents' or grandparents' generation is planning to buy a refrigerator. They would ask the salesperson many questions about its cooling capacity, space available in each section, and power consumption because this is something they are familiar with. But the same person doesn't have any such hang-ups when it comes to consuming information on social media because this is still a relatively new world for them. So they believe the sensational claims shared by their cousins, thinking it must be true if someone they know believes it. And they sign up for a non-existent pension scheme because it carries the logo of the government of India and they have always associated credibility with that image. They come from a time when there were many restrictions on who could access what information. You had to be literate to read newspapers and had to be financially comfortable to afford books. But even if you could access these, the only information that reached you was what the editors and authors approved for these papers and books. And then came the internet, where anyone can say anything without any limit. So a significant portion of our population went straight from too much gatekeeping of information to no gatekeeping at all, and that's a tricky transition to make. All this is not to say that only those who are new to using the internet on smartphones fall for fake news, but more to acknowledge that there is a huge disparity in the country in terms of digital literacy. And this is what social media miscreants rely on as they create fake news and encourage us to share it widely. While this is not limited to political misinformation, it becomes a factor to reckon with while dealing with this particular type of fake posts. Visuals can be used in manipulative ways to convince us that our community is in danger from another. Quotes can be made up to make a historical figure look better or worse than they were. And fake schemes can be employed to tempt us into parting with our money and personal data for someone else's benefit. But simply being aware of how the internet works is no guarantee that a person won't share misinformation, especially when it has to do with politics and ideology. We see fake posts making sensational claims shared by people belonging to different age groups and socio-economic realms. And many a time, they may not even be the kind of people who are too far on the right or left side. They may have started off as somewhat neutral, but gotten influenced by the volley of information that they are exposed to almost every waking minute of their lives. So, when this middle order begins to emulate those on the extremes, you know that the problem is serious and needs to be dealt with. So, let's go back to talking about solutions. When it comes to any kind of fake news, remember, if something is too good to be true, it probably is, meaning that it is unlikely to be real. In the context of politics, it means asking questions like, why would a politician speak against their own party or criticize themselves in public? Why would a former RBI governor praise one party and criticize another in his memoirs? And why weren't such explosive claims talked about in the news? Does it make financial sense for the government to give away laptops or smartphones to every student from a financially disadvantaged background? Asking yourself simple questions like this, followed by equally simple research, can help you expose these big lies. Another step towards this is to go back and watch every episode in this series, towards the end of which we share tips to help you debunk that specific type of misinformation. And of course, subscribe to us here on YouTube. Follow us on social media platforms. We are at Factly India across platforms. And visit our website factly.in. We post content debunking fake news every single day through these platforms. For everything that cannot be so simply covered, you have our WhatsApp tip line. With that, we come to the end of the 8th episode of Season 5 of Decode and to the end of the season itself. Let us know what other kind of content you would like to see from us in the comments. But before that, like and share this video and subscribe to Factly if you haven't already so you can watch our daily fact checks and stay informed. Thank you for watching.